Most content advice is terrible, so I made a tier list to correct it. And let me introduce you to it. We're gonna start with Who Let Him Cook and go all the way up to the GOATed tier, which basically advice from this is probably gonna make you millions of dollars. So let's get started. Our first entry into the Who Let Him Cook bracket is using AI for content strategy advice. And even though it sounds amazing that you can just type into ChatGPT, yo, how do I scale my business? And he just tells you perfectly what to do, it is just simply not true. And even though all those folks on Instagram will tell you that you just need this one crazy prompt and everything will be amazing, it's just not true. And usually you will get really mid advice that will actually not make any change in your business. Next up on the list is You Are the Niche advice from Dan Koe. And even though I love Dan Koe and I think his content is actually amazing, I think this advice is just horrible, especially if you are talking to people who just use content to get more leads. They are not growing any like crazy personal brands to one day save the world, but they just want to make money. You Are the Niche is the worst thing that you can tell them. Because what ended up happening is all of those people think that, oh, okay, so I can just say whatever I like, I can just treat social media like going to a party and something good will come out of it. And it's of course far from truth. And because of that, those people, instead of actually putting the reps and doing the correct step-by-step activities that will actually help their content and ultimately grow their business, are just stuck in the same loop, trying to hit that one video, that one angle, which being honestly, probably doesn't exist. So that's why it is on Who Let Him Cook. Next one is blaming the algorithm, and you probably cannot tell that by that picture, but it's about all of this talk that there is this one algorithm hack that you probably don't know, and that's the reason why you are stuck. And of course it doesn't work like that. Of course the algorithm is everything, but the algorithm is pretty simple. It will show your content to the correct viewers when you make it well, when it's actually valuable and people will actually watch that. There is no hack that turning a one option on your Instagram, YouTube, or any other social media will allow you to get those amazing leads coming your way. And again, this advice sounds good, but I've seen so many people just constantly be in this loop of trying to crack the algorithm, even though they are just chasing something that doesn't exist. And instead, if they just focus on the actual fundamentals, they would have what they want much sooner. The next one on the list is follow your passion advice. And this is probably a great advice that you can tell to a musician, an artist, or a 7-year-old, but telling that to business owners who want to use social media as a way of getting customers is definitely not a good idea. And a very similar thing will happen as with the Dan Koe advice that you are the niche, because people will constantly think, okay, what I actually need to do, what is the new amazing idea that I can share with this world that will completely change reality? And again, the truth is that they don't need to do that. They don't need to reinvent the wheel. They just need to do the fundamentals. So follow passion is just not a good advice. Next one on the list is cross posting. And this is a controversial one. But if you are not Alex Hormozi, Iman Gadzhi, or Gary Vee, you don't need to do that. Because all you need to do to scale your business is just crack one platform at the beginning and actually grow on it, okay? Or maybe two, maybe YouTube for the long form and some other more short form based platform. And this is all you need to do, because content works a little differently on every single one of those. And of course, if you can just push the button and send it to all of them, I mean, it will not affect your business, but it's also kind of a waste of time and resources if you are paying for the software. So just stay away from that. Next one is using hashtags. And this is a pretty clear Who Let Him Cook, because yes, it was an amazing idea, maybe in like 2015, but nowadays the algorithm is a little more sophisticated than just reading an hashtag and then recommending videos based on that. And there is like a lot of research actually done on it, you can read it, that it just doesn't work, like it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. So I would just stay away from it completely. And the last one on Who Let Him Cook is actually lying. Yeah, I don't know why I choose this picture, but it's lying. It's basically saying something that is not true in your content, trying to be something else, and basically making people look at you like that. And this is wrong for multiple reasons. I'm not gonna get into like morals and be like Jordan Peterson, but I'm just gonna tell you that business-wise, it's also an awful idea. Because sooner or later, people will actually realize that you don't have proof, or your product is bad, or you are maybe scamming people or anything of that sort, and it's gonna completely kill your business. So just stop lying, okay? Just stop saying things that are not true. And the opposite of that is when you actually will start telling the truth. Even though it's maybe not that amazing as the lies that you've been spreading, people usually will appreciate that you're at least telling the truth. So this is the last on Who Let Him Cook. Now the first one on the new level, so complete waste of time, is going viral. And this is again a controversial one. And by the way, this advice is exclusively for short form platforms like Instagram, TikTok, where you don't need to basically click on a video to watch it, but you are just shown the content. And this is awful advice, and this is a complete waste of time. And I am saying that as someone who literally generated probably multiple thousand, if not millions of followers for his clients, and also multiple millions of views, that this is not a good idea if you are selling, and specifically if you are selling high-ticket, sophisticated products to a niche group of people. And it's basically a fancy wording of saying that if you are not selling a $9 ebook, it's not a good idea. Because what will happen is that when a video goes viral, it will get shown to a bunch of people who are extremely unqualified and just not your ICP, and they will interact with your content. And because of that, going forward, your content will be shown to those people more often, slowly destroying your brand. And another thing is that people think that if they got 1 million views, they will make $1 million out of video. And this is extremely false. The people that I know that make the most money out of Instagram, YouTube, they have very niched channels or accounts, and their videos get usually less than 1,000 views, maybe less than 10,000 views. So it is completely false, so stop trying to go viral. The next complete waste of time is having long descriptions, and it applies both to YouTube and also to Instagram, because literally no one will read those essays. And if you are not like those type of people who basically do those videos that are like 2 seconds long and then just say, read the caption, this advice is a waste of time. Because people just don't read what is in your description, and you are much better off just putting one simple call to action or just one liner, and that's good to go. The next one is obsessing over time. What I mean by that is obsessing when to post content. And even though it maybe has like 0.01% difference, and for someone like Mr. Beast, it actually makes sense, for you, it's just better to post as much content as possible, not worrying that you need to post content on Tuesday at 8 a.m. and then you cannot make it, so you just skip it to the next week, and overall you are just getting less views posted, because again, it's just a waste of time. Another complete waste of time is having multiple links in your bio. And this is something that worked like a charm a few years back, but nowadays the new meta is just putting one link to a specific website, video, or resource that you actually want to redirect all the people, and instead of having 20 different links, and then your leads will be looking at this menu of different options, which creates more friction, and probably at the end of the day will make it much harder for them to take any action, and that will be a complete waste of not even time but also resources for you. So please don't do that. Another one is talking to your past self, and this is a very common one, and there's actually like no reason that this advice is bad per se, because it only applies to coaches who try to sell you the thing that got them, rich or something like that, or it applies to hyper successful people that have the social proof, and then that it makes sense for them to talk. For example, if Hormozi talks about his past self, it makes sense because he sold a business for 50 million. Or if Elon Musk would talk to his past self, it would make sense. But if you are selling a very specific product, because for example me, I am selling to people way richer than me, like businesses making more than 100K a month, right? So it doesn't make sense for me to, for example, talk about what I did when I was 17. Yeah, I would maybe do that as overrated. Yeah, let me actually put that on overrated. Because yeah, it makes sense, but 99% of people who are doing that shouldn't be doing that, okay? So it's overrated. It's not a complete waste of time, but it's overrated. But yeah, let's get back to the complete waste of time. So another one on this list is having too much call to actions. And I wouldn't say it's common, but it would be a complete waste of time, because having just one call to action anywhere from the first half in the YouTube video or in the first half of your Instagram reel is more than enough. And usually even that is quite a lot, so I wouldn't do that every single time. So just try to stick with that and don't make it too much, because the people will get upset. The next one is just give more value advice. Okay, what it means? I don't know, just give more value. And this is the reason why it's a complete waste of time, because everyone is saying that, just give more value, just give more value. And the truth is that yes, providing value is a good advice, but people telling that advice usually then will not break down what actually giving value means and how to do it. So this is why the advice sucks. And again, it's one of those kind of the same with just follow your passion, that it sounds cool, just give more value. Okay, just give more value. But yeah, it's kind of like this picture with Drake, right? Yeah. So it's a complete waste of time. And the last one on this list, and actually a pretty new one, is treating social media like talking to a friend and doing all of those FaceTime type of videos. And the reason why I put it right here as a waste of time is that for, again, 99.9% of people, it is a complete waste of time. Because if you are not, again, hyper successful and recognizable before doing that, hyper attractive, or you have an amazing charisma, it will just not work for you because no one will care. So it is a complete waste of time, and you are much better off using more proven formats. Okay, so gradually going to overrated tier is storytelling. And storytelling is one of those things that everyone says is like the one key, kind of like the one hack to growth. But the truth is that content doesn't need to be like a great story to perform incredibly well and get you a lot of leads. Yes, if you are really good at that and you can tell a great story while educating and providing value, and maybe you can slam like some call to action to that, then this video will be bueno. But again, most people overcomplicate the entire process, where again, the only thing that actually matters is like the hook and keeping the retention. And yes, you can do that with a great story, but also you can do that in like 1,000 different ways. So that's why it is overrated. Another one is using fancy cameras. And this is something that I always tell my clients that, yeah, I mean, if you can get a nice camera, like it is cool, but it is not a game changer. It's not like you're gonna get a fancy camera and all of a sudden you're gonna 2x your business. You're not gonna even see like a significant difference. It's just gonna look cool. Maybe some people will stop because of that, because of it looks a little more than the iPhone. But apart from it, I just feel like it's overrated. The next one is using trending audio. And the reason why it is overrated is that in very specific scenarios, when you are doing some type of trend with a trending audio, or you can strategically use the audio so it actually makes sense and maybe it's funny, or yeah, you can like utilize it somehow, just slapping like the audio in the background and kind of like putting, this label on Instagram that, yeah, by the way, this is a trending audio, will probably not do anything. Maybe it will be like 0.5% difference, but somehow all of those folks will tell you that those background songs like go viral over and over again. And it's not the songs that go viral, it's the videos. So don't stress about the songs. Another one is obsessing over microphones. And don't get me wrong, having a good microphone is lovely, but you only need to spend like $100 on it. You don't need like this studio podcast microphone with like a crisp interface. You just need something that will not sound like a microwave. And sometimes, to be honest, iPhone does a perfect job at it, so it's super overrated. And coming to an end with this level is having fancy, over-edited, Mr. Beast-like thumbnails. And again, the reason why it is overrated is that usually those thumbnails, like if you actually get someone to produce those type of quality thumbnails, it is super expensive and it is unnecessary. And I would think about it like that. The more you sell B2C and the lower the ticket is where you want the fancy thumbnails, because the average Joe will definitely click into that. But if you are especially selling like a high ticket niched product to B2B, then I wouldn't worry about thumbnails at all. Yeah, make them good so actually people click, but you can literally do that in like 5 minutes by yourself. You don't need a fancy thumbnail designer and you don't need Mr. Beast like thumbnails. And starting with the first advice that actually makes sense and is alright is having motion graphics, having like those fancy edits on your videos. And the reason why it is alright is that it just really depends on the niche and on the vibe you're trying to go. And if you actually have like someone really talented that can pull off great edits, great motion graphics, it's cool. It can actually help your videos, and that's why it is alright. Another one with Mr. Dostoevsky is scripting content word by word. And the reason why it is alright is that some parts of the videos, like the hook or the call to action, you need to script word to word because those are the most important ones. But especially if you are not experienced with content and with speaking, you're gonna end up reading the script like this. So yeah, today in this video, you're not gonna sound like a human being. So instead, having a rough idea of a script, maybe having a scripted hook, and then actually just having a structure is much better than having a scripted word by word. So that's why I put it right here. Next one on the list is having a series. And it's like a content series, for example, day 7 of doing X. And it actually used to work much better, but I feel like people just got tired of watching another road to 10K videos. So right now it's just alright. And if you package it correctly in an interesting way, it may still work and might still give you good results. So that's why it is right here. Another one on this list is stealing like an artist. And the reason why it is right here is because kind of like in this picture, right? It's not about copying per se, but it's more about drawing inspiration and, for example, using the ideas and actually like innovating on that and giving it your twist and making it your own idea. Instead of just, kind of drawing Mona Lisa, even though you are not really good at it, you just need to look, okay, why Mona Lisa performed good. And after that, you can take away something from Mona Lisa, but you want to draw your own painting, if all of this makes any sense. But yeah, stealing is okay. Do that, definitely steal things. I mean, copy that like an artist, but don't do that one-to-one, because then, first of all, people will recognize that, and second, you are just not like adding any value. Like, why would people watch you if they can watch the guy that actually like did that first? Another one on this list is flexing wealth, cars, watches, all of that. And it's pretty funny and a little sad to say that it still works for some reason. especially it works for B2C and usually low ticket things. It works like a charm. And you probably know 10 people just like that are flexing pretty heavily and they're also killing it. So it is definitely working, but I would just be careful again, using that when it actually makes sense. So in that scenario that I told you, because again, if you are selling to like people that are way above you, like big businesses, for example, like me, why they would care about what car I drive, right? They only care about my competence. So yeah, that's why it is right here. Another one on the list is having a content schedule or content calendar, if you wish. And this is a good advice. I mean, it's not gonna like break or change anything meaningful. It's just having some nice structure. And especially if like the content is dependent on few parties. For example, like it for some reason it matters for your clients where you post your content, or maybe you work with clients and you do content for them, then definitely a content calendar is a great idea. But for more folks, usually it's just kind of doing other things than doing the one thing that matters. So actually posting the content, but instead you just plan things and you like do all of those fancy things. So that's why it is right here. Another advice is Mr. Alex Hormozi, and his advice that volume negates luck. And I would say that actually like originally, like the way he says it, it makes total sense. Like do the volume and look at what is working, what is not working, and then innovate on that. So basically feedback loops. But the way it is then taken away from him, from just this one sentence, volume negates luck, it is not true. Trust me, I know it sounds crazy, but some people will literally do the thing over and over again and like not look back and like, why is it my video is getting like 10 views and no traction? It's because you are doing them badly 100 times. And it doesn't make sense for do that another 100 because you will not negate luck. It's about actually improving. So I would say, yeah, the advice like that he actually gives in like a full version, like a 20-minute monologue makes sense, but just like this sentence that is super overused, yeah, it's just all right. Another one on this list, a funny one, using controversy or like crazy statements in your content. And again, controversy sells, but it more sells like the attention, and it sometimes can actually make converting the attention harder. So that's why I would really be careful, because it's really a high risk, high reward strategy. So just be aware of the risk. Because yeah, if you pull it off really well, and like you probably again know a lot of people that did very controversial statements or things, and they actually made it work, and it probably made them, millions of dollars. But be careful, because it can also pretty easily like destroy your whole brand, which is not ideal. So I would be very careful about it, and that's why it is only all right. And actually, we upgrade to a great level. And this advice actually starts getting juicy. This is the advice that will actually make a difference for you. So the first one is having content pillars. So having few different topics that you actually talk about and sticking just to that. And this is a really good advice. It is of course not goated. It will like not double your business by implementing this, but it's a great fundamental thing that you should have. Another one is from Hormozi's book, so the very famous value equation. And it's not even about providing value, which right here you actually know how to provide value, but it's more about the value per second. So for example, if you can take a 10-minute video and chug it into a 30-second reel and have the same education, or at least like 80% there, you have a much bigger value per second, which will make the video perform much better. And that's why it is really important to think about how much more you can actually squeeze out. And especially it is true on like short form platforms like Instagram, because people are watching there like a lot of brain rot ad, and sticking to a video for like 30 seconds is pretty impossible. Like on YouTube, people are a little more like civilized, so you don't need to like do that. And another advice actually connected to that is speeding up your videos. So again, on short form platforms like Instagram and TikTok, you should probably speed your videos by like 1.1 or 1.2x just to make it quicker. And a pro tip actually, if you are not an English native speaker like me, it's even more important, because again, like, we are speaking a different language here. And because we want to actually make sense for our viewers, we need to like really craft the words carefully. So it actually comes out pretty slow. So I would always speed up my videos, especially if they are like value, like 30-second value videos that are not really like crazy high retention ones. The next one is having a good lighting. And I would say that this is much more important than having a fancy camera that we covered in the overrated tier. And it is of course a world difference. Like the lighting is basically everything, and like everyone that knows something about cameras, I kind of don't know anything, I just happen to have this one, is that lighting is like literally everything. So I would just invest like $200 into it, and it will be a very high ROI investment. Okay, the next one is to study outliers. So to copy and actually study outliers and then do something about it. So it's kind of a follow-up when it comes to this copying thing, that you don't want to copy per se one-to-one something, but you want to see, okay, why it worked and what I can like kind of take away from it and how maybe I can recreate that. And usually when you do that, when you spend like a few hours on the video, it will become pretty clear like the things that make the video or any type of content perform well. And then you can just, know that, you can learn, and yeah, it will help you quite a lot. And the next one on this level is replying to every comment. And this is a pretty good advice because actually some platforms like Instagram, TikTok, they will recommend the videos more if they have a lot of comments. And this is why, all of those controversial posts, when there's like two parties of a one problem, especially in politics, right? Like why posts get viral in politics is because people literally fight in the comments. And there's like comment threads with like 2,000 comments or something crazy like that. And if you can recreate that a little bit just by replying and maybe asking a question, and then the guy replies and then you reply, you can actually start creating quite a lot of comments like that. And it will just improve the performance of your video. So I would do that. And another one right here is using mid-video call to actions. So this is actually something that I touched on at the beginning when I was talking about using too many call to actions. Is having a great call to action roughly in the middle of the video, or maybe even like 30% of it, is a good idea. And I to be honest, I'm not sure why I choose this picture. But yeah, it's a great idea because, again, if you just look at like how retention works, right? Like more people will be in 30% of the video than on like 90. So if you want to ask people to do something, it's better to ask more people than less. And then I still don't remember why I use this picture. Maybe I just thought that, call to action is kind of like a trap. You are watching a video and then boom, all of a sudden someone is asking you about something. So yeah, that's when it comes to this advice. So another great advice is using rehooks. And the rehook is very powerful. So it's basically another hook after the main hook. So it's, for example, something like in this video I said, most content advice is terrible and we're gonna rank it. And you're gonna be actually shocked about the best ones. So what happened is that the first sentence, like most content advice is terrible, today we're gonna rank it, is the hook. And then the rest, when I say, and you're gonna be shocked about the findings, is kind of like the rehook. So it's pretty simple. I would actually say that this is a go-to advice. So there we go. We have the first go-to advice because it makes a huge difference. It basically, usually you can use that to raise the expectations and create curiosity. So I would actually say that using rehooks, there we go. Using rehooks is kind of on Cristiano Ronaldo level. So this is the first one. Another one on a great advice is using captions on the top of the video. And it can be like that. It can be in more ways. Just using captions in general, especially when the captions are not specifically what you are saying. Like the caption, just standalone captions is a great idea because, brain can kind of consume information many ways. So basically, if you do that, you can kind of have like a more powerful reason for people to stay and actually watch. Another one on a great advice is being authentic on your videos. And probably the best person to showcase that is Logan Paul. But yeah, like actually being yourself on videos, pretty good advice because like what's the opposite side? Like not being yourself and then like looking at content and being, yeah, that's kind of not me. And of course, it's one of those obvious ones. And probably all of us struggle from it for some reason. I don't know, like fear of judgment, some shit like that. But yeah, like being yourself is a pretty good strategy because then people can actually like you for, like who you are. But yeah, I'm not gonna go into like psychology, just like actually say what you think and act like you are, and it's gonna improve your content. And the last one on the great level is the awareness funnel. And the reason why it is great and not goated is because for most businesses is not that deep. Like most businesses will just be 10 times bigger if they actually post great content kind of on like a consistent basis and actually have like a way of acquiring leads the correct way over again. And they will not struggle with the problem of cold audience in a while. So they don't need to worry about, okay, I need to make content for the bottom of the funnel. I need to make content for the top of the funnel. Just make content, just like start doing things. Yeah, so that is great. Like this is a great advice, but for most people, it's not goated. And let's begin the Super Bowl, the greatest level. So the goated ones, we already have rehooks. And literally, to be honest, like those things, if they don't make you money, like if you actually do them for long enough and they don't make you money, then like shoot me a DM and I will buy you a coffee because I will like kind of not believe you also. Okay, so coming in hot is trial reels. And this is a great feature, especially if you know how to use that. And the easiest way to use that is just have one video with 3 different hooks and just test which hook works the best. And this is amazing. Like, I'm just shocked that more people are not taking like heavy advantage of it. And I literally try to use it like every single time with everyone that I work with. So it is a great advice. The next one on the list is obsessing over ideation. And the reason for that is that this is the thing that you should be obsessing over. Okay? Not the font on your video, not the edits, not the description, actually the idea. Because the idea is where everything begins, right? And as you can see, like a lot of content that you actually consume, if you pay attention to it, it's kind of like few ideas that are recycled over and over and over again. For example, like a tier list video. I guess this is not the first one that you watched in your life. You probably watched it in like some completely different industry, completely different niche, and you enjoyed it. And because it works, right? So obsessing over ideas is the greatest thing to obsess over if you need to obsess about something. So highly recommend it. The next one is perfecting the first 4 seconds of the video. So having really nice hooks. And I could probably like write like a Bible on that, and it is super important. Because if you have a lot of value in the middle of the video, like no one will get into that. So you are basically wasting all of your time if you don't perfect the first 4 seconds. Another one on the GOATed tier list is having a content pipeline. And it's especially important when it comes to consistency of the content. Because if you're trying to be consistent with content, like you're gonna quickly realize it is pretty hard to do. And having a pipeline when you specifically know, okay, which videos are in idea phase, which are being edited, which are ready to post, which are posted, is a GOATed advice. Another one related to that is batch recording videos. So this is a great advice, especially if you're a busy business owner. Instead of like spreading content throughout the month, you can literally record like weeks or sometimes even months of content in like one day. And you know, because of like the great use of technology, you can actually do that, and then you can just kind of like make it seem like you actually are recording content every single day because you are just changing, you know, shirts. Another one, and a very popular one that is actually great, and it is probably one of the very few great softwares when it comes to Instagram, is ManyChat. Because using ManyChat can probably double your business when it comes to leads. You can send resources, you can redirect people to your landing pages. Like there's so much stuff you can do with ManyChat, and it's really simple to use and pretty cheap. So highly, highly recommend it. Another one, and a little different, is actually avoiding being perfect. Because you are constantly trying to chase something that doesn't exist. And again, thinking about an idea for 100 days and trying to perfect it is much worse than just posting for 100 days. So this just doesn't make sense. And at the end of the day, you're still gonna look back at the video after like a month and you're gonna be like, damn, this video was like terrible. Back then, I couldn't speak in front of camera. So I would just recommend just starting and like not overcomplicating, not trying to be perfect. And if you do that long enough, you're actually gonna be pretty close to being perfect. Another one related to that actually is failing fast. And the reason is pretty simple. There's like this quote that failure equals feedback and feedback equals improvement. So it's kind of like if you get 10,000 videos wrong, you're gonna have 10,000 findings that those things don't work and what you can do differently. So just start, post, fail, and you can actually be decent and have a lot of leads, a lot of money, and basically be a baller and, you know, kind of find the ultimate meaning or something. Another one is actually following trends. And actually, let me say that differently. It's not about following trends, but about being aware of trends and maybe playing with it. Because most people, when they hear like follow trends, then again will just default to copying what works. So they will be posting like brain rot when they try to sell like high ticket B2B thing, which is probably not a good idea. And it kind of all comes back to obsessing over ideas. If you can kind of touch something that is right now really hot in your video, while you actually still are true to your values, to everything that you do, it is just an added bonus. And if you actually do it correctly, like those videos can perform like crazy. And then other people will start copying you because you are that good. Another one on the GOATed list is doubling down on ideas that work. And it's not even doubling down, it's like literally 10xing, 100xing, 1000xing, because as soon as you find a format, an angle, anything, a hook that works for you, double down on it. Like don't be scared to actually utilize your findings and your knowledge and what you've been trying to find with failing 1,000 times. And I would be literally like David Goggins of this idea and like continuing just doing that. Another one, and I hope you recognize this movie, is give people the reason to follow you. Like there's so much content nowadays, so much creators. So you actually need to have something at least that kind of makes you stand out and give a reason for people to follow you, right? And it basically means, you know, actually make content about like one specific thing, you know, because like odds are you're probably like not Elon Musk, because if Elon Musk says anything, like people will kind of listen to it nowadays. So if you are not him or like, you know, Joe Rogan, like you don't need to say about everything. You just need to be an expert in one field. So having a clear bio, having a clear pin post, basically making sure that people understand in a few seconds, okay, this is the guy for the job, is gonna give them the reason to follow you. And you know, you don't need to then like go on a crusade and like conquer cities, but yeah, you can then utilize that for your own business. Another one, and it's, to be honest, especially for me, I think it's the best advice that I ever heard, is that you look much more flat in front of the camera. What that means is that I usually don't speak like that in real life. I cannot speak like 50% less emotionally, but because of the camera it's kind of true that if I were to speak like I usually do, it would look super boring. I would literally look like this, right? So to kind of attack this problem, you need to be like 50% more you in front of the camera. You kind of need to lean into the way you speak, the way you use tonality, pauses, and all of that. Because really, like filming something in front of the camera, it kind of makes you look like you are, like super flat and boring. And the last one, and to be honest, I'm not sure why I picked this picture, but if you recognize this movie, then you are a cool guy, I would just say, or girl. The advice is just niche down. It's one of those ones that you constantly hear, but this is a great idea. And the reason why people don't niche like enough is that they are scared that they will not find enough clients, which is usually ridiculous because, like there is so much potential clients that you can have. And if you are literally not like a local business in like middle of Sahara Desert, you will probably have enough people that you can sell to make a big business. And especially like you can always go into broader market. But if you stay in broad market, you are basically fighting like with big whales and sharks and like submarines with rockets, and you are just, like a small fish. So instead of doing that, just niche down into like a nice puddle instead of an ocean. And I don't know if this analogy makes sense, but basically niche down. And yeah, that's it. That's the whole video. I actually enjoyed this one. And if you are like this type of person who just skips the video, like the tier list video to the end to see what actually happened, like good luck trying to read what I mean. For example, by having Dostoevsky and then Tao Lopez next to it, and then this guy, I don't even know his name, and then this guy, and then McLovin, like good luck. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, we'll not even like do like a crazy call to action at the end. Just check my description, check my other videos, and we'll see you in the next one.